Hey, what's happening? It's Jared, and I'm so happy to have you guys here for something I'm calling the Ninja Strategy that helped me do a complete 180 in my life in literally less than 18 months. And I'm so happy you guys are here. This has changed my life, and the response to this was so strong that I didn't want to just do something where it was a little note, like a little text note, and I didn't want to just make this something I sent to you an instant message. I really wanted to put together something that was comprehensive, that you could use, that would take you step by step through how exactly to do this and how to make this something that you could use to your advantage in your life right now. I had a lot of success with this, and I hope you guys find a lot of value from this too. To give you the overview, what I'm going to do here, real simple, this is just going to be straight and to the point. I'm going to share with you what this is, where this comes from, how it works, and like I said, I wanted to put this together step by step so you had it as a resource of something you can actually use right now to help improve your life. Now, this is a technique that I've been using since a little over a year ago, and it's helped me do a complete 180 in my life. It's super easy. You can do it in your sleep. As a matter of fact, I do it every night before bed and during bed. And as you can see, there are some results there. That's less than 18 months. I'm in the same exact shirt. You know, I look entirely different. But here's the thing. This seems like it could be about weight loss. You know, the weight loss is a part of it. But truth be told, this is a physical result of a much deeper internal change. And I owe a lot of this to this technique here that was able to help me do this a lot quicker. So here's where I was at before. I was recently divorced from an addict. My ex-wife at the time, great woman. I have a lot of love for her still, but she had some addiction problems. And as you can imagine, that would take a toll on anybody. Mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, I was lost. It took such a toll on me. I had a six-figure business at the time. I was doing video production nationwide for live events, sporting events, conferences, MMA, boxing, seminars. I lost all of it. I had no will to even do it anymore. Not only that, but I ended up $60,000 in debt. $60,000 in debt. I had people and creditors coming after me like crazy. I was 50 pounds heavier. I had let myself completely go. I didn't have the motivation anymore. And I was completely lost. And the worst part about it was I was in my early 30s at the time. I already had everything. I had the six-figure business. I had the wife. I had all that stuff. And I lost it right in my early 30s. And there was a moment where I had no money. I had nowhere to go. My parents had a condo in Florida, and they allowed me to stay there. They weren't living there at the time. They live in New England. They're snowbirds. But they had this condo. It's a little small two-bedroom condo in St. Pete, but it's an over 55 community. I had to literally hide with the lights off and the shades drawn from a 90-year-old woman who was in charge of the HOA association. And because if she saw me, she was going to evict my parents. She would not allow me to stay there because I was underage. It was the lowest part of my life. Now imagine trying to get your life back on track where you have nothing in the bank, your card's getting declined. Imagine trying to take a woman out on a date and your debit card's getting declined. You take her back to this 90-year-old lady's condo, right? It was not a good situation. And I had to have a real come to Jesus meeting with myself. I go, this is not who you are, Jared. You're worth so much more than this. And I had to really design my new identity. And step by step over the next 2 years, I completely turned it around. And this technique was a big part of it. But to give you a sense of where I am now, I just took this picture today. I took a selfie because I wanted to show you from before to after. That's at my parents' condo. I was helping some guys out on Zoom. And then this is me today. Just took a selfie. It's an entirely different demeanor. Right now, I'm in a brand new and aligned relationship. The woman shares my values. She's awesome. Into personal development. I'm in the best shape of my life since I'm in my 20s. Like, I feel like I'm on fire. I used to be a professional athlete. I was a pro wrestler, body slamming people, jumping off the top ropes, and you had to be in great shape to do that. I hadn't been in wrestling since my early 20s, and the weight I am now, the size I am now, the body fat percentage I am now, haven't been there since almost 11, 12 years ago. I am 100% debt-free. $60,000 in debt, completely wiped it out in less than a year and a half. It's incredible how that happened. And most importantly, I've never felt more aligned with myself mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. It used to be like I was fighting against myself, right? Like I wanted to do something, but what was showing up in my real life wasn't who I really was on the inside. Like my results were not matching my like who I really was at my soul level. And I was telling my girlfriend recently, I go, I have never felt more in alignment with myself, body, mind, spirit ever before in my life. Everything's firing on all cylinders. So there's one caveat to this technique. This technique, I owe a lot of my success to this. But here's one of the challenges. This is something that's so simple, you could potentially discount how effective it is. Or the other thing, though, is you can take this to the extreme. Like you have the tendency to take it to the extreme and mistakenly think I'm actually trying to call this a magic bullet, saying this technique alone is what changed everything for me. What this really is, and I really want to point this out up front, this is a way to support the personal development work and journey you're already on. Okay, if you're doing a personal development, growth or journey or something on yourself, this is there to make sure you're in alignment with yourself and to eliminate any of those internal resistances that may come up to your efforts. Like I told you, there was stuff I wanted to do, but my external world was not showing up the way my internal world was. And even if I wanted to, I was almost self-sabotaging myself for a while. So here's what I found. What I found is most people, when they try to make a change, there's part of you that wants to actually do the thing. There's part of you that wants to move forward, isn't there? But there's also another part that holds you back. It's almost like, that part doesn't believe the change can actually happen. Or, maybe it's afraid of that change. Or if you actually make the change, maybe you bite off more than you can chew, or you go to the extreme. And let's say you start a diet or weight loss program, all of a sudden you crash diet, right? Or you start going to the gym, 20 times a week. You start doing 2-a-days. And it's an explosion, but it's temporary. It's not sustainable. And then eventually what happens? Yeah, the bad habits start to come back. So there's a guy, he was a fantastic hypnotist. His name was Milton Erickson. What he says is the reason why, and I'm paraphrasing, but he says the reason why people have so many of the problems that they have is because they're out of rapport with their unconscious mind. The reason why people have so many problems is because they're actually out of rapport with their unconscious mind. So basically, there's part of them consciously that wants to do something, but there's unconscious conditioning or self-talk going on, or even in your nervous system that's blocking you from taking those actions. So what you'll find many times is you'll take 2 steps forward and 5 steps back. Does that make sense? Do you follow me on that? So here's an example. Let's say I want to get in shape, but I'm too busy, or I'm too tired, or I've tried it before, it never works. And it's that cycle, right? You're on that carousel of yo-yo dieting, and pretty soon you let it go and it just doesn't happen. Or, hey, I want to get out of debt, but I've always had a hard time making money. Or clients don't like me, or I have a hard time sealing the deal, or whatever that would be. Or I want to be in a relationship, but I have no idea how to approach people. I'm socially awkward. I have a fear around new people. There's all of this mental tug of war that happens. You want to do something, but it's almost like your mind is linked up. It's like a hot stove. You ever touch a hot stove and your hand goes away real quick and you're like, I'm never going to do that again. It's like you get conditioned, or you get anchored to this thing, and the thing you really want to do, your body's also trying to protect you from it. And it gets to be really difficult to make forward progress the way you'd like to. So what I've found in my own life is there was actually a constant internal running dialogue telling me what I could and couldn't do. What I found was my brain was actually always asking myself and answering questions. So like, hey, why aren't you going to the gym? Oh, because I'm lazy. Because I got too much to do. Oh, because I'm so out of shape. I'm going to be embarrassed to go to the gym. So I would keep asking myself these questions and answering in my own voice. But after a long enough time, I asked myself a different question. I said, are these voices, are these questions and answers that I'm answering myself in my mind, are they even mine? Where are all of these negative answers? Where are all these beliefs and habits and conditionings telling me that I can't do things? Like, what's actually holding me back? And are the things and beliefs and things that are holding me back, are they even mine, or did I pick them up somewhere? So I became obsessed with trying to figure out what was actually authentically mine. Like, I had this constant running internal dialogue. So there's a documentary, I believe it's on Amazon Prime. I highly recommend it. It was a really cool documentary. But it was this guy named Ram Dass. And what he says, paraphrasing again, but he goes, when you're born, you're basically given a name, you're given an identity, you're given a religion, in many cases a social status, like socioeconomic. And then you grow up and your parents and your schooling tells you who you are and what to believe and how things operate. And then you spend your entire life thinking and then defending, in most cases, that you're this person when maybe none of it was even originally you to begin with. Does that make sense? So in many cases, the majority of who you are, who you become, the habits that you do largely, what you believe is possible for yourself, it's largely formed by other people's conditioning and just life circumstance, and not actually by conscious choice. And that's what happened to me. I woke up at one point in my parents' condo, and it was almost like I woke up in a lucid dream. I go, I would have not consciously chosen any of this. But the trick was, how do you get yourself out of the hole when you're already dug so deep in? So I had this idea. You ever see the movie Inception? That picture right there is from the movie Inception. Basically, in Inception, the guy's dreaming, and you got to like almost hack the dream. So I go, what if I could hack my internal dialogue? I go, I figured what I have to do is repeatedly listen or repeatedly hack my internal dialogue to stop the years and years and years of momentum from going the other way. Does that make sense? What I was trying to do was, like, if I would constantly have negative self-talk or negative internal dialogue, I figured the solution to that was to constantly have positive internal dialogue, but I'd have to like almost condition or install that in my brain to have the momentum go the opposite way. So what I started doing was I tried the traditional stuff like affirmations, right? Like write down all your goals and say them out loud, and I am now this and I am now that, and you're yelling it and screaming and slapping yourself and stuff like that. But what would happen would be I would write the affirmations, I'd get all pumped up, but my body would say that's BS. Like you've done this before. Pretty soon, in a week from now, it's going to be back to the same thing. I had been living Groundhog's Day for so long that I would just not accept that. I wanted to. I was doing the affirmations, but my body just wouldn't believe it. Or then I'd go do these things like YouTube hypnosis audios that you can use. You can put on a headset, listen to it, and then do that. That was cool, but it was always like a creepy guy's voice or something like, "Hello, you're now going to sleep." And it was just bizarre. My body and my brain did not really take too well to it. Some of them were great, but it wasn't really working for me. So then I had an idea. I go, well, what if I used my own voice, right? My internal dialogue, it disguises itself as my own voice, right? So the voice in my head telling me I can't do things is in my voice. So I go, well, what if I use my own voice? So what I did is I created an audio file of my own voice looping new internal dialogue to myself before I went to sleep. And here's the funny thing that happened. Instead of it being a creepy guy's voice on YouTube being like, "You're now getting sleepy," what would happen instead would be, because it was in my voice, my body and my brain started to believe it was my own internal dialogue. And the funny thing is that my nervous system actually started to accept it as true. It was almost like a Trojan horse. Does that make sense? So the key to this whole thing was autosuggestion and using an audio file of your own voice, and I put a specific tone behind it, which would help me get into a certain phase right before sleep. There's like a phase of like awake and asleep where your brain is much more open to change and much more open to suggestion and stuff like that. So the really cool thing was I had a lot of things working well for me when I did this. I had the benefit of falling asleep, that half awake, half asleep state. I had this tone that was priming my brain for change. And then because it was my own voice, it Trojan horsed my conscious mind, and my body and my nervous system accepted it as true because it just thought it was my own internal dialogue. Does that make sense? So my immediate result of doing this, unlike the YouTube hypnosis I was doing, unlike consciously trying to like shove affirmations down my own throat, the first night, like I told you, I felt my nervous system align. It was like I finally slipped into a warm bath. And my body and my nervous system aligned and agreed with the suggestions they were saying because it was in my voice. And my internal dialogue, what started happening was, because my brain was saying yes to it and because I was agreeing with it, my own personal internal dialogue started mimicking the audio and accepting it. And in the next few days after, I felt immediately way less resistance to doing things that I would normally have taken a lot more conscious effort to do. My mind started actually thinking and feeling the ways that this audio file was telling me because it was in my own voice. My body goes, oh, that's what I believe now. So like I said, this is not a magic bullet, right? So it's not like I'm now getting $50,000 and you wake up and 50,000 falls in your bank account. Or it's not, I'm now in a relationship and you wake up and a girl ends up in your lap. It's not magic. It feels like it sometimes, but it's not. This is meant to support the personal development work you're already doing. And what it does really is it eliminates that internal drag or that internal resistance of like, well, 2 steps forward, 3 back. Well, what if I fail? It really primes your mind to go towards what you want instead of moving away from. Does that make sense? So let me ask you a question. Are you willing to try this for a month? I know it sounds simple. I know it sounds silly, but I promise you, if you try this for a month, just feel how it feels in your body and see what happens. Because here's the funny thing that happened for me. It wasn't this dramatic, crazy change that I felt. It wasn't like I had an aha moment, epiphany, and my life changed, and all of a sudden I was on a different timeline. What this really felt like was I woke up, and the next day it was like, of course I would do that. Of course I'm energetic. Of course I'm going to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning and go to the gym right away. There was no question in my mind that I was going to start doing these things, and it was almost silly, like it was almost as if I had never been that person that was the other way. My brain just started accepting this stuff. So it was really, really effective for me. So are you willing to try this for a month, see how it goes, and then let me know how it's working for you? Okay, that's my challenge to you. And I'm going to share with you step by step how to do it right now. So here's how to do this. Super simple. And there's some distinctions I'll point out. So how to do it real quick. You get a notebook and a pen and paper, and you write out 2 to 5 new thoughts, new beliefs, new dialogue that you would like to have in your life. And to keep it simple for categories, do a couple for health, a few for wealth, some relationship ones, maybe career mission, and then personal character. So personal character, anything that doesn't fit into those categories but might be how you show up day to day, characteristic, character trait, something in that realm. I was insane. I was like, I'm going to do 50 of them per. Maybe that's a little bit too extreme. But do like 2, 3, maybe 5, and write them down. Now, write them in a specific form. Write them as I am statements. And write them as I am statements stated in the positive. Because you want your brain to start looking towards what you want, not away from what you don't want. It's a little bit subtle, but it's legit. It works this way. So instead of saying I'm no longer fat, when you say I'm no longer fat, what do you picture? You picture yourself being fat, or the struggle of no longer becoming fat. Like, oh, it's going to take hard work. What you would do instead is you'd say, I'm now prioritizing my health. So you're picturing yourself now prioritizing your health as opposed to struggling against no longer being fat, right? So you're going to state it in the positive, and you're going to state it towards what you want. I am now prioritizing my health, or I am now doing this in my personal character. And I'll explain more. But the important thing is it's an I am statement, and it's stated in the positive. Now here's a key point. It works much better on the underlying condition. It works much better on the underlying condition and not the item itself. So like I said earlier, it's not this magic thing where things are going to fall from the sky with no work. This isn't like law of attraction or manifestation or anything like that. 20,000 is not just going to plop in your bank account tomorrow. Maybe it will, and if you do, let me know. I would love to be proven wrong on that one, right? But really, what you're looking for is the habits, the actions, the characteristics that you would personally need to generate the outcome, right? So it's not like I'm now 200 pounds tomorrow. It's like I now wake up every day and prioritize my health and put the work in. It's that. You want to go for the underlying condition that's in your control. Think of what's in your control, not what's out of your control. So instead of being like, hey, I now have a girlfriend, what you say is, I now confidently am able to go up and meet new people. Does that make sense? You want to do it towards what's in your control. Now, what I will say, though, is this can work seemingly like magic if you do something on yourself. Like I said, it's not just going to plop random things from the outside into your world. Maybe it will, hopefully, which would be awesome. But really, if you do this on something on yourself, which is a process, you could get some really amazing results. Take a look at those pictures down there. What I would say would be something along the lines of like, I now prioritize my health and wellness. I weigh 205 pounds at 12% body fat. My DNA is restoring and regenerating itself every day, helping me to look younger and younger every day. So results can happen that seemingly seem like magic if you do it to yourself. But here's how I do this. I get an audio recorder on your phone. You're going to record these things once as an I am statement. So real simple, you get an audio recorder on your phone, you record them once as an I am statement once you write them down. Then record it a second time as name is. So there's one that's I am and then name is. So mine would be Jared is now. Jared does this. So I do it in the third person. Now, you may be asking me, why do you do it that way? Truthfully, it's because I didn't know what would work better, if first person or third person would work, and I didn't want to take any chances. So I'm like, I want to do one of each. So I did one as an I am statement, and I did one as a Jared is, you are, third person. Make sense? And then you're going to use a specific waveform. So there's a specific waveform that I used. What it does is it promotes that feeling, or it promotes that stage of being half awake and half asleep, like that little phase right there where you're open to suggestions. It's 417 hertz. Now, when I did some research on this, the frequency itself is known to heal, balance, and promotes change. It marks the start of a new beginning in your life, and it's so powerful that it can actually reverse and undo negative happenings in your life. So I listen to this tone. It's just a nice and easy white noise tone. Super easy. It's not abrasive at all. You can find it on YouTube. But if you want, I downloaded it, I edited it up, I can just send it to you. There's a link here somewhere. You just put your email address in, it's going to send it to you automatically. But that's my gift because I want to see you guys use this. So it's 417 hertz. And then what you do from there is you bring it into an audio program. I use Premiere Pro, which is a video program, but I'm also a video producer. So what I would do, I put one file on top of the other. So it's the audio file of my voice and then the audio file of the tone. And then I bring my voice volume down maybe 50%, depending on how it sounds. And then I add reverb or a slight echo to my own voice so it sounds a little bit more trancy, right? And then I export it, put it out as a file, put it on my phone, and then I fall asleep listening to it on like that 20 minutes right before bed. I just put it on my headphones, put it in my earbuds, and nice and easy, I fall asleep while listening to it. And it's been working wonders for me. And you can do this 100% yourself, but if you're not tech savvy or you're having a hard time with it, let me know. And I can do this real easily for you. Just send me the files, let me know what you need, and I can get it done. And that's it, right? This has helped me. No joke. This technique right here has assisted me and supported me in doing a complete 180 in my life. And it's not magic, right? Like, it's not just like I listen to this and then my life is better. I was doing a lot of internal change at the same time, but imagine doing that internal change while doing the 2 steps forward, 3 steps back thing. It was agonizing, right? Once I started doing this supported my personal growth journey. I was no longer self-sabotaging, right? Where part of me wanted to do something, but my unconscious mind was blocking me. This helped me get out of $60,000 in debt. I lost over 50 pounds. I'm in the best shape of my life since my 20s. I got myself in a new relationship. I swear to God, I've never been in so alignment with myself, mentally, physically, emotionally, or spiritually. And my sincere hope for you is that this makes your journey significantly easier too, because it did for me. And I would love you guys to let me know your results on this. So in terms of resources, here's how I can help. If you type your email address in, there should be a button below. Type your email address in. I'll send you guys the 417 hertz file directly to your email. I already have it edited for you. If you need help editing this, let me know by direct message or email me at jaredgainham@gmail.com. It's right there on the screen. And like I said, this was just one piece of it, right? Over the past few years, I had to really dig deep. I had to make some really big changes in my life. This file here supported that. But I am so passionate about helping people literally transform from the outside into who they really are on the inside. If you guys need help, please reach out to my email. Let me know how I can support you. So I hope this was helpful. That's my ninja strategy to help me do a complete 180 in my life in less than 18 months. Let me know your results from this. And I can't wait to hear what happened for you. All right, that's it for now. This is Jared. I'll talk to you guys soon. Later.